There are two stories tonight. Two stories. And there's something that you can join in with. At the end of the show, we've got stuff that you can play around with us on. So in the words of Blue Peter, paper and pencils ready, kids. There are two stories tonight. And they're both linked by one thing. And the thing that they're linked to is the public sector borrowing requirement. I know, half of you are out there going, leave it, Mark, back off. Leave it, it's a black hole of comedy, son, leave it. Roy Chubby Brown never got rich with PSPR jokes, all right? But it's good stuff, so stay with it. Because the first story is about the private finance initiative, OK? You just have to think of it in terms of privatisation. If the government called it what it actually is, they'd call it fuck the taxpayer, which is essentially what it is. Hang on to that idea and you'll go through it like a fucking dose of salts, no problem, OK? If you look at the health service, the private finance initiative in the health service, what they do is they sell off relatively cheaply all the old hospitals to property developers, who then turn them into luxury flats, marvellous places, little swimming pool, jacuzzi, packed full of Spice Girls, marvellous. They then sell them, make a fortune. In return, they have to build us a new hospital. They have to build a new hospital for us. But the health trust never gets given the hospital. They have to rent it from the people who built it. And you think, well, hang on a minute. This is the asset stripping of the NHS and the introduction of landlordism. Now, if the consortium have got this hospital for 150 years, and the lease that the trust have got is for 25 years, what happens at the end of the lease? And I wanted to find out what happens. So we went up to Edinburgh, Royal Infirmary, NHS Trust, annual general meeting. And there's all these blokes there. And somebody put their hand up and said, excuse me, what happens when the 25-year lease runs out? And the executive said, well, we have three options here. Firstly, we could release. Secondly, we could actually negotiate to buy the building. And thirdly, we have the third option, which is we simply walk away. And somebody in the meeting said, well, where would you walk to? It's not as if there are just hospitals littered around the place. You know, it's like, can you imagine, 25 years, the trust sitting round a boardroom, well, we've come to the end of the lease, 25 years are up, we've got to go. Fortunately, a mate of mine knows a warehouse down the dock so we can squat. We could be squatting hospitals. There'll be no entrance, just a large lump of chipboard nailed in really fucking tightly. Big hospital scrawled over the front. Fuck off bailiffs. Some bloke leaning out the third floor. If it's accident and emergency, you have to get in through the side window. And you just think, this is mad. In 25 years' time, we could be in the situation with health that we were at the beginning of raves. Someone gives you a call on the mobile, there's a hospital happening in a farm in Wiltshire. And it's not just about the future, it's also about now. Because the hospitals they're building for the consortium to save money and make profit, they're smaller. So there's less beds. So they have to rush more people through. Oh yes, less beds, but we just put them on and whiz them through and it's marvellous, like a pit stop. Clear, off you go. In some hospitals, pregnant women have got 24 hours to give birth. That's your scheduled time. Otherwise, you just start a backlog outside, breaking waters in taxis. They just go, no, you're not keeping to your time, call the vet in. Right, let's get this one out, shall we? Come on! And this is just amazing stuff. They also have got a thing whereby, because there's less hospitals, they become centres of excellence, which means they basically specialise in one thing. Cities are just going to be known for the things that they specialise in. You'll be driving up, welcome to Norwich, home of the appendix. So we went up and talked to some people on these chief executives of the health trusts. And we met one guy up there. And he was saying to us, well, whenever I try and communicate to people about what's happening with the health trust, I always get a picture in my mind of an imaginary person who I call Mavis.
And this lady, imaginary, she lives on her own, you know, not particularly up with lots of things, you know, just concerned about her life. And my acid test on anything I'm going to do or say, what's Mavis think to this? Will Mavis understand it?
If you had to say a bullet point, if they say, keep this hospital open, right?
Yep.
4 words. What would your 4 words be?
My 4 words?
Say back to them.
My 4 words back to them would be... why? 1 word. Why?
But the difficult point is going to be that under PFI, you are going to get some people saying, the trust don't own that hospital. They rent that hospital.
I'm through that. That is certainly the PR strategy that we've had, that bar militant Labour, who are the only ones still opposing it. There's no one now arguing about, if we want a new hospital, the only way we will get it is through the private finance initiative.
Yeah.
I fought the principle of PFI under the previous government for 9 months. That was a waste of my time and a lot of effort, because PFI rolled on.
Well, considering sort of like our grandparents fought for years to get the health service, it's a bit of a fucking slap in the face. Go, well, I worked my guts out for 9 months and I thought, oh, fuck it, I'll change sides.
As an entry qualification for a common European currency, we will have to bring down the public sector borrowing requirement. And if you want to drive the public sector borrowing requirement down, start to take off future capital spend, and down it will come.
What I'd ask you is if you put your hand out, just put your hand out here. Now, if I hold your hand, my hand's a bit sweaty as well. Right, if we hold hands, okay, just grip my hand. Pretend I'm Mavis.
Yeah.
What I want you to try and do, and I know this is a little bit off the cuff and difficult for you to do, but it might be. I don't think it should be. Keep my hand here. I want you to communicate the same conviction, and I want you to tell Mavis why having this new hospital is so important. So I'm Mavis.
Okay. The real bottom line to this, Mavis, is we have got an ageing population. You're well aware of that. At the same time, medical science is moving on apace, and this hospital is a real investment for your future health care. And you need it, we need it, and the staff, more importantly, need it, because they are working in conditions that are not suitable for delivering modern health care. And we have no choice. I know you don't like the private finance initiative. I know you think the government should just give us the money. But if you want those benefits there when you will really need them, we need those benefits because our staff are working under enormous pressure with the conditions they've got. You've got to understand that many of the things I've said in the past and done have not been popular with you, but believe me, Mavis, this is the only way forward, and you will reap the benefit of it.
Fantastic.
Then, by chance, a couple of months later, we bumped into a group of pensioners up in Coventry. Now, these people are just genius brilliant and just blow all those sort of stereotypes of old people out the window. These people are really up for it. And you know, like every one of you will have someone, whether it's Rupert Murdoch or whether it's Les Dennis, you'll have someone who you say, if I ever met that person, I'd slap them in the face and piss on their shoes. And the reality is, if you ever did, you'd go, oh, hello, nice to meet you. Now, these pensioners are really keyed up, right, because they've got a meeting with the chief executive of the Health Trust. And you know, when you get meetings like this, normally people sort of in Britain express their anger by going... This bloke was actually, when he arrived, started talking, and you can hear the pensioners at the back of the room going, that's bollocks. At one point, the chief executive said, we have got the finest cardiology unit in Britain and an ambulance service second to none. He said, I can assure you that if I suddenly clutched my chest and keeled over, voice from the back, we'd cheer. We'd spoken to them beforehand, and we'd said, look, there's a little something that we want you to do. Would you be interested in coming in with us on it? And they said, well, what is it? And we said, well, because there are less beds and you get rushed through the hospital now, you know, our figuring of it is you've got to be fit to survive illness. You've got to be fit to be sick. You've got to be fit and ready and strong to get through hospital. And what we